You know, if you think for 1 second that hit delivered by Jadeveon Clowney on Carson Wentz was not an intentionally dirty hit, you're either kidding yourself, you're just an Eagle hater, or you might want to get your eyes checked. And that's how I'm going to start this video off, as the Eagles season ended Sunday against the Seattle Seahawks as they lose 17-9 in the wild card playoff game at home in Philadelphia. And in my opinion, and I know there are going to be trolls that are going to leave their smart-ass comments, and hey, I welcome it. I welcome your opinion, because my opinion is that game was over in the first quarter as soon as Carson Wentz's brain collided with his skull after a hit from Clowney. And look, I've watched that hit so many times, as I'm sure many of you have. And the thing here that I like to focus on, it's not whether Carson Wentz gave himself up or not. It's not whether he was diving headfirst. He was already being tackled. He was already being tackled by a DB going down. And Jadeveon Clowney, as he saw Carson Wentz going down, leads with his shoulder to the point where the back of his helmet smashes into the back of Carson Wentz's head and gives him a concussion. Now, look, for the people that are saying it, and I'll echo the sentiments of guys like Dan Orlovsky, like Chris Long, like many other respectable media people. If you think for some reason, if you're using this as an excuse to call Carson Wentz injury prone, you should be ashamed of yourself, and you should not have a job making money off football, because there is no man alive. There's no man alive, unless you're the Incredible Hulk himself. There's no man alive that could survive a 290-pound man running his shoulder and helmet into the back of your head and not get a concussion. It is impossible, okay? A brain is not something that's injury prone. A hamstring, a leg, a knee, a back, a shoulder, okay. But a brain, your brain, it's nothing to joke about. Brain injuries and the developments of CTE are nothing to joke about. And coming from somebody that may or may not have had a concussion before, it's absolutely nothing to call somebody injury prone over. This was a tragic thing to happen to Carson Wentz. We know what he's went through to get to this point, to get into the playoffs. And I firmly believe, as the Eagles only lose by 8, if Carson Wentz is in that game, they win. And I think they win big. Look, the first quarter, as they're feeling out, the Eagles always start late. They always do. But to only lose by 8 points, Josh McCown, look, not taking nothing away from this guy. I respect him as a man. I think he's been a great addition to the team, but he's not going to lead you guys to a playoff victory against the Seattle Seahawks. It's just not going to happen. Now, look, he moved the ball pretty well, but once they got into that red zone, everything stalled. This is a vet that was taking sacks on 3rd and 4th down, something that you just can't do. Put the ball in the air, just see what happens. Let something happen. You can't take a sack in those positions. Kind of underthrew Miles Sanders on that 4th down pass. And if Miles Sanders catches that pass and goes in for a touchdown, the Eagles probably win this game. In my opinion, not that it would have mattered, because they would have had to go to Green Bay with McCown in as quarterback, because I don't think Wentz would have cleared the concussion protocol in time. But yeah, just so the Eagles fall down. And it was just, that was the one injury that they just couldn't survive. Now, no matter how good McCown was or wasn't, he's playing with guys that Carson, again, these are practice squad players or players that weren't on teams. So Carson Wentz had to build a chemistry with these guys because of their talent level. He built a chemistry with Greg Ward, obviously. Even a guy like Deontay Burnett, he started to grow chemistry with. So now you got McCown coming in with no reps with these guys. It was just an impossible feat. And again, he brought him into within 8 points. It's admirable. I respect the dude. I would love to see him back here in some capacity as maybe a coach. But yeah, it just wasn't going to happen. Miles Sanders hurts his knee in the game. I mean, you're seeing Shelton Gibson, who just got signed, try to make a play. I mean, this team was absolutely depleted to start with. I've said it in videos in the past. They were playing with house money. I'm proud of this football team. The defense hung in there as long as they could. But some of the glaring mistakes that they've been making all season were made. I mean, just letting guys get away with long touchdowns. Not getting enough pressure on the quarterback. And, you know, and again, I hate to be one of those guys that is going to complain about officiating. But man, these officials, that was one of the worst officiated games I've ever seen. Again, no flag on the Wentz hit. And look, if there was a flag, would it have done anything? Would it have changed anything? Probably not. But to me, it's about being held accountable, okay? The NFL likes to trot itself out here as caring about player safety. You know, I go back to, and maybe this is a bad example, but back to the summer when Antonio Brown was bitching about his helmet, how he just wanted his old helmet. And they wouldn't let him because the helmets they have now, they want to ensure the safety of the player's head. But then you let something like that happen with no flag. And McCown was getting thrown around all day. Greg Ward got ripped down by the back of his helmet. No flag called. It's about being held accountable. If you're going to put these rules in place, if you're going to set these rules in place, then make sure that you hold yourself accountable to them as well. But again, back to this, the whole day was awesome. Got there at 9:30 with my brother. The tailgating was just amazing. 4th and John, these guys, I can't say enough about them, man. They really just take you in and make you a part of the family. And for everything that people say, Jadeveon Clowney had the gall to say that Philadelphia fans are the worst in the world. Has obviously never been walking around those parking lots, because these guys, man, they are just amazing. Can't say enough about E-Rock, Gale, Trotz, all those guys. Thank you so much for the past month. It has been so fun and so amazing. And look, again, to Clowney, this is another guy, if you remember last year, tried ripping Nick Foles' head off. And look, I'm going to end the Clowney talk with this. When he was going to be traded, I banged on the table for him to come to Philly. I thought he'd be a great player here. And you know what? If the roles are reversed, we probably wouldn't be as up in arms about it. I don't think that he is a dirty player like Vontae Burfict. I do think he intentionally tried to take Carson Wentz out of the game. I do think that. But that's a part of the killer instinct that Philadelphia fans love. I mean, I'm going to say it. If he was here and it was him on Wilson, would I kind of shake my head at the play? Yeah, but would we celebrate the victory? Of course we would. So congratulations, Seattle Seahawks, on your win. I got to do a lot of good things that day. Met EDP, who I watched on YouTube for years. Freddie Mitchell, I saw wandering around the parking lot. Got to take a picture with him. His bad football takes and bad wide receiver play aside, he was part of one of the most famous plays in Eagles history, being 4th and 26, and he was a good guy to us in the parking lot. Great to meet him. And then Hall of Famer Harold Carmichael was nice enough to take a picture with me and my brother. Future Hall of Famer Harold Carmichael. It was just an amazing day. I mean, loss set aside, it was awesome. And I'm still wearing the T-shirt. East is not enough, because I was watching the 4th and John podcast last night, and they were afraid that this season would go down as one of the lost seasons. But to me, I'm going to remember this season forever. Again, a season where I got closer with my brother, a season where a bunch of ragtag practice squad players didn't give up, fought their hearts out every game. What a motivational story there is there to never give up. I mean, they really showed what it's about. Defeating a Dallas team that the week before beat a Ram team 44-16, and everybody was crowning to do big things in the playoffs. A Dallas team that was healthy with guys like Ezekiel Elliott, Randall Cobb, Amari Cooper. And I'm going to have a separate video about these delusional NFC East fans talking shit about Eagle fans. That's going to come later. But they did it against a Giant team who, is 4-12, but has great offensive weapons like Saquon Barkley, Golden Tate, Sterling Shepard. I mean, they just overcame everything that was set in front of them, all the adversity in the world, and it's something that I will never forget, which is why I got the shirt, and I also have a hat. We were introduced to a guy named Boston Scott that looks like he's going to be a big part of our future. Miles Sanders was amazing. To me, should be Rookie of the Year. And Carson Wentz checked off the boxes that he needed to check off, except for a couple, that being a playoff game and a Super Bowl. But I really do think that the playoff game was robbed from him this year, and hopefully it only set his expectations and motivation and fire even harder next year. Now look, I'm going to have some other videos this week. The off season's kind of a boring time, but I'm going to make sure to keep up with all my subscribers. There's a lot of things we got to talk about. Who stays, who goes. We got to talk about the draft. We got to talk about what coaches are going to be here next year. Who disappointed us this year, who didn't disappoint us this year. There's so much stuff to talk about, as well as I'm kind of redecorating around here at Bar 4133, my own little Eagles man cave. And I got a lot of cool stuff from this year that I'd like to share with you guys. So thank you guys for watching me all season. There's still more to come. This Eagle thing is all year long for me. Just been an awesome season. The disappointments to me were not as great as the surprises. And this month, I've been to three home games this month. It was just awesome. So thank you guys. Jadeveon Clowney, go screw yourself. Carson Wentz, get better. And as always, go Birds.